Hi, I'm Seamless, and this is the 62nd 75K tutorial. This one was requested by funkyjob, and it is the bass in KOAN Sound's Eastern Doug. And it sounds like this. This is what I got. I'm missing some parts there, but here's the thing, is that if you look at the end result, you can really clearly see what's happening. You can see, okay, there's a bandpass and there's a notch. And then every variation of it is pretty much a different level of where the notch is passing through the bandpass. And that's kind of what the sound's all about. There is a very distinctive feel about this sound. It reminds me a lot about what happens when I do the whole three bandpass or a notch. Wow, a bandpass with two notches kind of thing, the three filter configuration. Then you compress it, and then you distort it, do it again, over and over again. A lot of the texture this has reminds me of that. And so the problem with that is that usually when I do that kind of thing, I am left with a very ununiform, unpredictable mess. And it's very rare for me to get something as clean as just being like, there's a bandpass, there's a notch, without it like going through some extraordinary phasey problems. The thing is that this still has that tone, and I tried very hard to get that tone without getting through the whole process that I am familiar enough with to make it. Although now that I think about this, one of the big things this needs is just a big old bump right there. That's a little bit better, but it's just still not obviously not there. But the big part about getting there was about making Harmor essentially behave like it's a signal that's been through that kind of processing. You might be thinking, well, do you resemble something? I'm like, nope. This is about using all the things inside Harmor that contribute to being what I think of as the best synth you can have for a kind of a super sine or re-C patch. So let's talk about what's going on in the Harmor before everything else. Feels pretty painful, but let's take a closer look. So, I'm using a lot of things here. I have unison engaged on 8 voices, but I also, in the harmonic unison window pitch, am changing the pitch of unison per harmonic a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. Because there's a bit of a fine line between this sort of crunch that this is all being distorted here, but it gets distorted again with the EQ. And a lot of my decisions, or rather I should say most of them, are done with this distortion on. And I wanted there still to be some kind of saw texture in there, so I did have like a real saw in there. But even on top of that, I ensured that whatever settings that I was doing were going to result in there still being bite and not so much a phasey cloud. Because I could have just turned this all the way up, and it would have done that. It would have essentially sounded like I put white noise up in there because of the phase just cloud that causes. I do still want sort of the effect of that, though, because remember the result of all the processing, whatever, results in a very chaotic phase relationship. And that's usually, in subtractive synthesis, it's usually something you do with lots of layering and processing, but with additives, we can control it to the point where we can try and mimic that. So a little bit of Prism. The Prism is entirely default. I didn't do anything about that, but it's just a little bit there to, again, cause that a little bit of motion. I have the phaser set to frequency mode, and on the harmonic mode, and it's just moving a little bit, but it's so very slight, and like this slightness, like if this were on, so what that's doing is it's moving all the harmonics to just various places. You can see what's all the way up. It's doing this pitch motion, which is very, rapid and all over the place, but very slightly. On top of the unison, on top of spectral phase randomness, which is to say that the start position of every individual harmonic is going to be different. At least a little bit, not a huge amount of difference, because I don't have it all the way up. Prism, where it's just changing the pitch of something, so along with the phaser, things are being changed pitch all over the place, is the same thing with the unison, because of the different unison pitch thickness per harmonic range here. This all contributes to turning it into like a much more complicated resaw kind of configuration. And then it gets filtered. So I'm just using a bandpass and a notch. I'm specifically using a bandpass that doesn't that bleeds a lot. I could use a sharper one. And that part of me thinks I probably should have. In fact, I'm just going to leave that there for a second. And then it gets compressed. And then EQ'd. And I was just thinking when I was doing this opening, I was looking at this, I was noticing that, yeah, there's the bandpass. And there's this kind of business up here. Which now I'm thinking is a hat. So maybe not, maybe not. So what's interesting is that this sound is very mono. Like, not quite as mono, like, very not. Like, that sound is very everywhere. And every once in a while you can kind of hear a fill. It's very kind of interesting that they layered that on there. Yeah, it's also worth noting that a lot of these are being sidechained with the hits. In fact, every single one of them happens on some kind of kick or snare hit, which means that the beginnings of these get chopped off a bit. In fact, for all I know, they're not even going down to up; they're just starting up. But I can kind of see the trail going in there. That makes me look like it's going up and down. So the automation, the way that shows where it is here, is that essentially here's my bandpass and here's my notch. Now this bandpass, these automations are all the same, because in the original you can see that these repeated hits are the same. Like same. So like I just made them the same clip, so that if I made changes, they're there. So it's really just all the rest of that after that is just moving it around until it kind of sounds like it. And of course you can come in here and be like, okay, from this frequency to that frequency is the range of the bandpass. From here to here is that kind of thing. And that does kind of work, but it's sort of hard to take that data and then immediately apply it to automation clips. So I just kind of earball it. And like parts of these work, and it's clearly the technique, is the bandpass, whatever, but like I'm still missing that like real chomp kind of thing. But that texture again is something that I've gotten before out of doing the whole layered filter EQ distortion thing. It's just that I don't know how to get there without causing a kind of mess that wouldn't really come out well with this technique. I think we could probably get me in here and do a little bit of this. I started to do that where I would regain a lot of the filtered change with the EQ, but that like I tried to put a second layer of this on there and it just wasn't happening. Maybe if I put a little bit more time to this, I could probably come up with something eventually, but that's so true for anything. And while KOAN Sound sound design certainly is worth that sort of attention, one of these 75Ks ain't. Anyway, I'll give you this FLP in the description of this video. If you'd like to make requests, unfortunately you can't, because the Reddit thread where I took all the requests is archived, which means no one can comment on it anymore. Fortunately, there's 2,000 comments, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to have enough requests to fill up 11 more of these, 12 more of these, 12 more of these. But still, if you have any questions, please let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And as usual, have a nice day.